Okay, hear me out. So there's this Incubus song. I love the song. I love Incubus. But it's like there was never meant to be only one. Think about this. Like Christianity. Now it has done a lot of good. It has saved hearts and lives, and people have become useful and productive and helped the world continue in a better place because of it. But I really think like there's the First Testament and the Old Testament, the New Testament. Why can't there be a third book? If it stays the way it is, where the Bible, first and foremost, Jesus Christ, the Bible gives a physical description of what he looked like. That is not the picture that the church posts everywhere. Do you know? So like you're telling us to blindly believe and have faith, and the Bible is non-contradictory. Why is Jesus blonde? Why don't you just undo that? Do you know what I mean? Like if you want to govern yourselves with truth and love and honesty, why aren't you fixing the things that aren't? Because like everything, all religions before and after, they come and they go, just as civilizations do. Things break down a civilization because their ways no longer contain the structure. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think people are going to continue to even allow something that isn't just truthful to have such a footprint in spaces anymore. I would really, really like a third book, an atlas. I'd like it to be the atlas. And I think it would be amazing if Christianity just said, okay, let's stop promoting things that we can't prove. You don't have to disown it. You don't have to disregard it or undo it. Just set it down for a second. Instead of all Christians' main goal is getting that convert, getting that person to give themselves to Jesus Christ as the Lord. And 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is very simply put, and it states, if you don't have love, your faith is useless. And it also states that love is more important than faith. It lists them in order. And faith is not the most important thing. Love is. Now, when we are actively feeling and engaging in love, that creates a frequency in our energy, like in our flow around, like it'll emit energy. It has energy that comes out of our body. So like, why can't we make a third book, an atlas, a truth book? You don't have to have blind faith, but there are so many good things to come out of the Bible. So why can't we make a book of truth? All right, we're going to start here. This is us in this time, this day and age, and we understand that there are things in these two books that we cannot prove and we don't know because we don't know. We just assume because we believe because somebody told us that way. Well, I think that creates a paper army, And so, I'm not saying like, don't say God isn't real. I'm just saying we should take some time to switch our focus. And the Atlas, the third book, can start with 1 Corinthians chapter 13. There is nothing in that chapter that you would have to take out. There's nothing in that chapter that is asking you to promote and believe in something that is not provable. We don't know if heaven exists. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know if God exists. We don't know. We don't even know if Jesus existed. But we know that all of this teachings has made a physical change in human beings. So there's something there. And I think to continue to keep Christianity at the forefront of like civilization and our progress into the future, we need a third book. It's time for a third book to lead the next 1,000 generations through. And start with 1 Corinthians chapter 13 in its entirety. That's perfectly simply put, you know? And then all of the new young people coming up into college age and into like adulthood, and you know, why not send them out in a force into like biology classes and environmental classes and into studies where they can literally figure out what is happening in us and around us when we are in our feelings. Because that is who we are. We have them. God made us that way. Why are we not understanding them? Like sensations like gut feelings and love, understanding what the use of emotions are. Anger can be anger, if understood and properly used, is a godsend, really. I always took it as like people who did really, really bad to me and left me in a state of unokay, but refused to acknowledge or come back and clean the mess up themselves. I used anger to get rid of the ick that they left in my heart, and I threw it back. And I try to understand it and I try to keep it contained, but I'm struggling, and I wish that I wasn't going through hell right now, because I would love to be able to write down this and put it into something to give to somebody that could do something with it. Because after 1 Corinthians chapter 13, then the next part of the third book would be everything we pull from the Old Testament and the New Testament that isn't requiring you to blindly believe something. We shouldn't be asking each other to not know for ourselves, or just to trust someone because they say so. We just shouldn't. God did not make us that way. He gave us reasoning, and He gave us the ability to ask questions, and He gave us senses inside of our bodies to know when something needs to have further questioning, or when you're okay and you're like, all right, I got this. But we have feelings, and we need to understand them so that we can utilize them and govern ourselves by them without doubt. We should never doubt ourselves. And I think there needs to be a third Bible. There needs to be a third book for people. Because it's going to end up, it won't last in the state that it's in with December 25th was like a celebration of the sun coming back. And nobody knows when Jesus was born, but actually they just put that there. Like, we can't be doing that. You can't take something and have it matter so much, but have so much of it taken and built from other things, and then nobody understands. Then there's no, it's not thick, it doesn't hold its own. And then, like, when you create something out of other things, this is a big deal. Heaven, hell, that's a pretty big thing. Like, we're basing our entire creation and existence and how we treat people and how we govern ourselves on something that we don't even know where it really came from. Because nobody asks questions. Because we're not allowed to. And so I think by giving people that respect of just being like, hey, we don't know, but let's figure it out. Because I think if we focus on the things that we do know to be true, other things over the years will start to fall into place in ways that we couldn't have got to otherwise. Does that make sense? And so you go through the First Testament, or you go through the Old Testament and the New Testament, and pull out everything that doesn't require you just to accept somebody else telling you so. You know, like, you got parables, you got stories, all kinds of amazing things. But there are certain things in there that are asking you to dumb down your senses and trust another person. Now, I mean, it doesn't have to be a bad thing to trust another person, but we cannot build a foundation or continue a society on it. We can't. Because then look what happens. We have Thanksgiving, which we know is bullshit. We have the pyramids, which we know is not what they say it is. And the Sphinx, which was probably during an actual flood, way older than the pyramids. So it's like, but nobody will tell us anything because archaeologists are actually like really butthurt people. Like, they do not like to be questioned or tested. You know, they're like, I mean, it's weird. And it's like, we shouldn't have that society. Because honestly, I believe that there is never an end to anything. And we'll never know everything. And that's okay. We don't have to know. But there's something here. And we're not paying enough attention to it because we're too focused on trying to convince other people to believe in something that we can't prove. So we're not trying to study the stuff that is here. You know what I mean? So I'd like to have a third book, an atlas. And I'd like 1 Corinthians chapter 13 to be its introduction. And I would like everything out of the First Testament and the Old Testament to be put in there that does not require a blind faith. And then I would like that book to be a map of what we are capable of our senses, how to recognize them, know what they are. Guidelines, simple ways to govern ourselves. You don't lie, you don't steal, you don't cheat. If you're hurting someone to get what you want, you have to stop and reevaluate things, your priorities, you know, but to describe all that. And just because like so many people are lost and they don't know where to start. Everybody's like, oh, just give your life to the Lord. Well, great, but then what? What do I do with my heart that I feel? What do I do with my fear? How do I manage these? And all these books tell you that your mind is the enemy or battlefield, or, you know, like, trust the Lord. But we should be trusting ourselves because the Lord is within us. We have these feelings because we were made with them and they're for a purpose. And we're dumbing them down and numbing them up. I would like that a lot. I wish that I wasn't I'm in a bad situation where I am being psychologically and emotionally, I'm psychologically abused and emotionally traumatized, to a point where I can barely, like, every day I have to have a literal discussion with myself about the benefits of not jumping off of a cliff. I have to remind myself not to, because it's pretty bad and I can't find a solution for it, which is crazy because I have a solution. I know I can compromise. But people are denying me the ability to ask questions, and they're also denying me everything. Nobody will tell me any truth or reasoning. I'm just treated pretty out of pocket, and it's making me pretty sick. But I have all these ideas, and I have all these solutions in me, and I'm afraid that I won't be around long enough to put them on paper and give them to someone who can do something with them. So, welcome to video number 1. I'm just gonna start leaving YouTube videos, and maybe someday somewhere someone will come across them and find some use in it, because I really do believe that that would be such a gift to people to be like, you know what, we should really take out what isn't in line with what we thought it was, because we grow, we learn new things. Environments change, knowledge changes, and we have to be able to change with it. Now, someone told us that these books are in stone and we can't change with them. But that's not simply the case. We just took somebody else's word for it. The same people who sat in this ground before those books were written thought this should be put together in a book. Do you know what I mean? They were just us at a different time. And I would really, really like to see the Bible evolve and become a guide of literal honesty and truth, and teaching us as human beings how to protect our instincts and how to navigate through the people around us, because people are changing. And sometimes some people just have no care. And it's so insane. Yeah, we fight, we argue, people make mistakes, but then there are the ones that it's just all out here and it's not actually real, and it's scary, and then you get trapped in it and you can't get out. And I want people to have a map on how, because we're not taught how to understand if someone's not going to tell you the truth. There are simple things that happen that lets you know that they're lying. I learned that because people will never tell me anything. And even if I catch them lying, they'll still never tell me the truth. And I come to realize that I know when something's not right. I know when something's not what it says it is. I know it because there are signs, and they've never failed me. And so I follow these guidelines, and I realize, like, people who do these things will never, ever feel like you do. There will be no need to find resolve and tell the truth. They will find no value in that. And so you have to learn to be emotionally uninvested in them, or walk away and know that they are human for the most part, but they are just not invested in things like you think they are or they say they are. And you have a lot of that within your churches. A lot of people just aren't what they say they are. And so I think it needs a house cleaning. And I think the only and the best way to do that is to create a third book, an atlas, that focuses on us, on what we are, and how to, and don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. Take this apart explain it out, because and I'll hope that I get to leave enough videos so you understand what I'm talking about, because I'm still in awe of it, but I'm being traumatized over and over again so much that I can't even get time to study it or understand it or practice it or even share it. But there is solution in everything. Everything. If you cannot find solution in something, it is because solution is being purposely withheld. And that's the way it is. And it's like, don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. And the last part of that is, if you're hurting somebody to get what you want, you need to stop, bring all parties to the table, all parties involved to the table, and have a discussion. And if you cannot offer the owning party something of value that they find worthy, and they don't want to give you what you want, you can either renegotiate and offer something. You can try to keep offering them things of value. But also, if it's not yours and they don't find what you give them of value, it's not yours, and you have to accept it. You can't just take things. You can't. You have to stop hurting people and killing people to get things or to have your way. You can't do that. It puts ick in not only you and your target, but it plants icky seeds. It plants seeds of ungood in every single living thing that your focus interacts with. Plants little, like, it's like this in faith. I was saying, plant the seed. Well, your energy is planting a seed, but not a good one. And people aren't realizing how much weight what they do carries and echoes throughout everything. There's too much pain, and there's too many people causing it, and there's too many people allowing it, too many people following things because someone else said something. And in my case, yeah, I've had behavior that was not good. And then I've had reactions to abuse that was done to me that looked bad. And that became something people could hold on to and agree with my abuser with. And so it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell which one is the right side. I'm screaming, crying, begging for my life, and my abuser is saying, she's a bad person. Leave her in her pain. Now, I'm partial to my situation, but in any situation where there are two conflicting sides claiming to be the one that everyone should follow or the victim that everybody should surround, what you have to do is you have to just simply look and see what the target is. Two people that are in pain and arguing and on telling everybody else it's the other one. What are you fighting for? What are you fighting over? What do you want? What do you want? What did you give this person for what you took? We don't just taking things and not paying for them or not giving something of the ownership's accepted value it has to stop. There is enough ground on this whole planet for every single human being to have a peace. And if you are unwilling to have a conversation, it's you. There's right there now, that's the problem. And you can't go forward until that one problem is fixed. And then you can go on to the next roadblock. But if you won't have a conversation and you won't be honest, you are the problem. And everything that you've done since then cannot be trusted or be acted upon until you resolve the communication problem. That's all for tonight. Thank you for being alive. And I love you, child. I'm trying to get home. I'm trying to find the answers. I'm trying to make them stop hurting me.